Next up, we are going to hear from survivor and activist Pat Maisch and journalist Sarah Gassen, the opinion editor at the Arizona Daily Star. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Pat, you were in line to see your congresswoman that day. How did that day start?
It's a story of a trip to a grocery store that introduced me to a secret club, a club that nobody wants to belong to. Membership for me was secured that morning in front of the grocery store. I'm last in line to see my U.S. representative. A loud pop. I knew it was gunfire. There's a dark shadow coming my way. Pop, pop, pop. I had to decide what to do. Pop, pop, pop. More pops. My only reasonable option, down, drop to the sidewalk. More pops. Pop, pop, pop. I was anticipating what a bullet in flesh, my flesh, would feel like. Pop, 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 and I'm still waiting. Suddenly there was a commotion with feet and hands and scrambling and shouting, "Get the gun, get the magazine." It was two good guys without guns. They tackled him, nearly pinning him on top of me.
Who were those good guys without guns?
They were Roger Salzgeber, who had worked on Gabby's campaign, and Bill Badger, who he's retired Army air, and they came to talk to her that day. They were my heroes that morning.
So you've mentioned, you're known for wrestling the ammunition away from the perpetrator. How did that happen?
Well, when they tackled him almost on top of me, when I knelt up, I was at the small of his back. The gun was too far away for me to reach, but I was able to take another loaded magazine out of his left hand and secure that until the deputies arrived.
So you've also been very active in terms of gun violence prevention, things that have what happened motivated you. Can you talk about this secret club that you've referred to as, you've joined, and then what that led to next in your life?
Sure. The secret club that no one wants to belong to, you have no choice. You're forced to. You can participate as much as you want, but you don't have a choice. You belong. Membership starts when the bullets stop. It's a club of strangers forged in fire, gunfire. We have knowledge that other people don't have. And I learned from that knowledge they helped me, that over 100 people a day are killed by firearms, another 200 wounded, wounds that range from flesh scrapes to devastating, life-altering wounds. And then there's the countless emotional wounds. Nobody gets up, dusts themselves off, and moves on. They're all hard lessons.
One of the things that I've learned from you is the importance of language and the importance of how we describe these events and the people involved with them. Could you tell a bit about why that matters and what we need to know?
Sure. That was another really important lesson that I learned. The lesson of words. Words matter, language matter. The value, the impact, the potency of accurate language just is so important. So, like, people would tell me, "Oh my gosh, you were in the wrong place at the wrong time." That's a lie. We were where we belonged. The perp was in the wrong place with a firearm. "I'm sorry you lost your loved one." Oh my gosh, they're not lost. We didn't forget them at the store. We didn't misplace them. It's not our fault. They're dead. They're killed. They're murdered. They're taken. If that's all you can muster early on is taken. They're not lost. We know where the bodies are.
And I've also heard you talk about, people will say, oh, she's in a better place, or God needed her with him.
Yeah, she's in a better place. God needed her. Never, ever, ever say that. Just say, I'm sorry. I don't have words to help you, or just hold somebody. You don't even have to say anything.
And with the theme of words, how we talk about how we cover these events, what advice do you have for us in the media, and what do we need to know?
Well, we do have protocol for media. There's a no notoriety protocol. Don't say his name. No notoriety for the killer. Media, please don't give them any. He's the perp, not the shooter. Shooter gives them the craved status that they want. We don't want you to report on their fashionable sunglasses or whatever things they wore to court like's been done in the past. We don't give a flip what he wore. We want to remember the murdered and the wounded, not the perp. We don't want to give him any more press than absolutely necessary. We ask them not to use the name of the perp more than once in a report. And for God's sakes, don't use a photo. Some media have even called the perp the gentleman. Can you imagine what a slap in the face and the kick in the gut that is for survivors? Gentleman, unforgivable, not a gentleman, never ever, don't say it, don't print it.
You've also talked about what politicians say after these sort of mass murders, and it's part of your activism. You've been very outspoken. What do you say to when people say, oh, it's too soon, we can't talk about that, it's too emotional?
They usually say it's not the right time. And I tell them, you're right, it's not the right time. It's way past time. We should have been talking about this in the 60s and 70s. I think in the 60s, the shooting in Austin at the University of Texas was one of the first mass shootings that got notoriety. And talking about loved ones or knowing people whose loved ones have been taken, murdered, killed by a bullet, I sometimes will get emotional, and I think it's important that we show our emotions, especially to legislators. If you can't get emotional over this cause, then you need to pick another cause.
And speaking of causes, you're well known for shouting from the gallery at the U.S. Senate. Can you talk about that moment?
Yes, I was with a friend. We decided that we couldn't just sit there after they had voted down the background checks, the Manchin Toomey bill. So I asked my friend, what do we do? She said, let's shout, shame on you. And so we did, and we were both detained for 2 hours. We had a 2-hour background check for shouting when you can buy a gun that will shoot to kill without a background check in most states.
So you've been active in very large ways and in very personal ways. What is something? What can people do if they haven't been directly touched by gun violence, or are active and want to be active in another way? What can you do?
Well, my eyes were open to legislation that day after the shooting, and I always thought things were pretty good, but they were calm on the surface, but they were insidious and devious underneath. So I would say, don't wait until you experience a tragedy of some sort in your life. Educate yourself. Find out who's in power. Where do they stand on issues that are important to you? What can you do in some small way, even if you don't want to do gun violence prevention or something critical? Pick up trash on your block. Be kind. Write a letter. Call your legislators, both locals and national. All politics start local. Collect signatures for a candidate you might want to represent you. And if you don't know what to do, always ask somebody. Then do it. Make a difference. Don't let frivolous things in everyday life get in your way. Figure out the frivolous and teach yourself the art of ignoring it. You can make a difference. Try it. If you want help, I'm here.
Thank you so much, Pat, for sharing your experience and your wisdom with us today.
Thank you, Sarah. It's my honor to be here.
We are thankful to both of you. Pat, I really want to honor the idea of just like educate yourself about what you can do where you are with what you have. It is such a powerful message. And I deeply appreciate you pointing out that sometimes these things can seem so overwhelming, right? And so complex and so deep. And you're saying, start somewhere. You can do something. I really appreciate that.
Thank you very much for having me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah, for being with us as well.
Thank you.